My name is Howard Trembett. I'm in the midst of the biggest transformation of my life. I avoided marriage until I was established in my career. Lilith, my first and only wife, was born a month after me. We both celebrated our 50th birthdays earlier this year. We had nothing to protect when we got married, so there are no prenuptial agreements. Lilith and I have been living in this house for 21 years. We moved here a year after we got married, and then brought our first child here 2 months after we got settled. Our second child joined us 2 years later. The children are now in college. I recently convinced Lilith that we should move to a gated community for 50 or more couples. Once we had a firm commitment to selling our home, we entered into a contract and committed several thousand in serious money toward the upkeep of the new home. Now you understand why most of our things are packed in boxes. However, I have no plans to move to a new house. None of us will actually move. I just got off the phone with a realtor who pulled our offer. Losing a couple thousand was a small price to pay. However, our time in the old house is over. We really need to move since we attended the closing 3 days ago on Monday. We have a week until tomorrow to hand over the keys. Lilith thinks that yesterday morning I left on a business trip. I haven't worked since I quit a week ago. I bought a one-way ticket to Atlanta. From Atlanta, I have a car and will drive to the bay and then board the ship. In a couple of days, I should be at my secluded place on the island. I don't plan to divorce Lilith. I plan to take all the proceeds from the sale of our house, my 401k payout, and most of our savings. With my newly acquired identity, I hope to live my life sailing the Caribbean. Opening offshore accounts was more expensive than I would like to admit. Thanks to electronic banking and the corresponding amount of money laundering, all this money is now in the cryptocurrency accounts of my new identity. Since there are over 10,000 cryptocurrencies out there, I sure as hell hope the one I chose survives. I plan to convert this imaginary money back into something more stable as soon as possible. Imaginary things can disappear at the most inopportune moments. Sort of like Lilith's wedding vows. Around 3 p.m. I called Lilith. She answered on the 4th ring, and there was indignation in her voice. "Hi, baby. How are you traveling?" "Okay. Everything is the same, but in a different city. What are you doing?" "Just packing a few more things." "Okay, lie number 1. She's 30 miles away at Arnold Prince's house. He is Lilith's current lover. I really don't know if he is her first lover. The thing is, I don't care. One is too many. As much as I would like to put a bullet in their head, my revenge is to simply leave Lilith alone. Arnold's wife will most likely clean his watch. Do you mark the boxes that contain your things? Yes, dear. Lilith is clearly marked on mine. Yours are labeled Howard. It will be very easy to put your things in your closet and mine in mine. Please look in my desk for my diary. It should be in the top right drawer. After a minute, I do not see. Are you sure about where he is? Lee number 2. She would have to be in my house, where my brother is now, to even check. All I really cared about was that my brother would have enough time to vacate the house I sold. Since she doesn't seem to be coming back anytime soon, I'm sure my plans shouldn't change. No problem. You said you were having lunch with friends today. Where did you go? Do I know any of them? We went to a diner next to my office. Just some of the ladies I work with. What are you going to do for dinner? Lie number 3. My investigator says she arrived at Arnold's this morning at 9 and hasn't left yet. I'll probably just order steak to my room. The company pays for it. What else are you doing today? Just another load of laundry and packing up the leftovers. I hear the dryer whirring. I have to go. Call me later. I love you. In touch. I think once you start lying, it gets easier. There was nothing about this woman that I could trust. There were 2 rental trucks parked outside my old house and 4 guys loading things up as fast as they could. The truck with my stuff was heading to the storage unit my brother had rented this morning. Another truck was making its 4th trip to the consignment store. Both trucks were scheduled to return to the rental location by 5 p.m. By the time I hung up the phone with Lilith, my old house was most likely empty. I was waiting for confirmation from my brother. He definitely earned the $5,000 I paid him. An overnight package addressed to my lawyer was ready to go. I signed all the legal documents and sent them, the house keys, and the garage door opener. Lilith will also have to hand over her keys and device. My lawyer will contact her shortly. I didn't call Lilith again. When I tried to talk to Arnold's wife and tell her about the investigator's report, she hung up. That is life. She will receive the report along with photos and videos as it will be delivered by express today. Then there were 16 packages that I mailed. Lilith's parents, her friends, her employer, her siblings, and heck, our kids all got the same package. I put notes in packages for the children letting them know that I was disappointed in them, that I was disappearing, and that I didn't know if I would ever get back in touch with them. And the package that I felt best, sent by Lilith in the mail, allowed me to spill out. Lilith, by now you've probably realized that your philandering actions led to the loss of your marriage. I took all the money that was easily available. I also took what I wanted from home. The rest of our items were taken to a consignment store to be sold. My lawyer has the details. You can claim the proceeds. Don't bother looking for your jewelry. This gold gave me a decent amount of money. The rings from your aunt brought the most. My engagement ring didn't bring anything special, but that's life. That diamond earring you got from Arnold wasn't really worth much, just like your wedding vows. The house is now empty, and I have withdrawn our offer for a new house. It was just a ploy to get all the proceeds for our house. Thanks for playing along with me. I don't plan to divorce you. You can spend your money on this if and when you save up. I plan to replace you as soon as possible, but that doesn't concern you. I let the kids know that I was disappearing. Since both were aware of your affair, and maybe more than one, and remained silent, I decided to renounce them. I told them this. There really isn't that much of a market for old white women with low morals, so good luck in any career. If your parents hadn't invested all their money in this retirement village, they might have been able to help you. Maybe you and Arnold can sleep in the same car. Maybe not. I don't know much about him. He sucks at society, but apparently that's what you traded your cushy lifestyle for. If Arnold had kept his mouth shut, I might never have found out about you two. His boasting to the bartender was your undoing. What were the odds that he would walk into my brother Steve's bar? Steve said he was immediately wary because there weren't many women with a name like Lilith. When he paid with his credit card, Steve asked to see his driver's license. After that, it was pretty easy to get all the evidence I needed. How stupid can you be? I hope you weren't planning on forcing everything on me and running away with Arnold. Thanks for some nice memories, but for the most part, all the other memories are tarnished. Howard. Instead of leaving my phone, I tossed it to the homeless guy huddled against a dumpster behind the hotel. I wrote down all the contact information I wanted to save. I had a good night's sleep. In truth, it took several small bottles of booze in the hotel room. Since it was all on my credit card, I didn't care. I had no intention of being around to pay any bills. I have doubts that any bills will be paid. For the past 22 years, Lilith has been a housewife. She worked until she became pregnant shortly after we got married. I had a job that paid well enough that she didn't have to work. Too much free time after the kids left high school proved to be her downfall. My investigator couldn't find out much about how Lilith and Arnold met or how long it lasted. What he was able to find out was that my children were dating them. For some reason, Lilith stopped by the college campus and invited them to dinner. The investigator indicated that he followed them and filmed video with sound. I was able to identify my children. Arnold was introduced as her lover. Whatever Lilith promised them, it turned out to be their downfall. They had plenty of time to call and talk to me, but it never happened. After taking breakfast to my room, I hailed a taxi and went to the used car lot. I just left the hotel. I'll let Lilith try to figure out why I didn't check out. I was supposed to be free only on Monday. In an old car, I headed towards the coast. By Saturday evening, I was at the beach. Having successfully withdrawn a pocketful of local currency from my new identity, my first purchase was dinner and drinks. During the meal, a very friendly, scantily clad woman convinced me to spend more of that money on her. With a few hours between sessions, I spent my money on a night of bliss. The exchange rates made it so that I could do this every day of the week if that was what I wanted. Yes, At the moment, this is what I wanted. Planning to create new email accounts, I bought a laptop and a cell phone. It will be difficult to connect the new me with the old me. I set up a VoIP phone number and got the latest from Steve. Lilith. Back in the day, I was drunk on attention. I never realized that it was just a game Arnold played to turn me into his toy. If you had told me a year ago that I would have an affair, I would have laughed in my face. There is no way in hell this should or could happen. I guess I'm ripe to be chosen. I met Arnold at the gym. He trained at the same time as me. How did I even fall for all these well-rehearsed lies? Somehow, deep down, I think I wanted someone other than Howard. Someone who would tell me that I was cute, sexy, and desirable. He was patient. Compliments turned into drinks and conversations in the parking lot. Deciding to stop at a fast food restaurant to grab a bite to eat was my first mistake. Why on earth would a married woman meet with a married man in private? It took months to slowly lead me to what we did afterwards. I started thinking about Arnold while I was having sex with Howard. Most likely, it was because of this that it was easier to give in to the desire to please Arnold. I had already done it in my mind, so it was a short leap. The way my ego was laughing at how well I did it. After a while, he made me believe that I should leave Howard, take my share in the marriage, and he would do the same with his wife. We could continue our sexual adventures as a couple. I don't know what made me tell my children about this, but I did. I think Arnold led me to this decision to strengthen my desire to give up my marriage. When Howard left for that trip to Atlanta, I still hadn't decided what I was going to do. I thought I handled Howard's call smartly. Only in the morning, as I was getting ready to leave, I read a message from my sister. She received a package from Howard detailing my novel. Arnold, Howard knows. Fine. You can start the divorce right now. But I am not. I shut up because I still haven't decided if I really want a divorce. I ran to the bathroom and threw up. What have I done? Around this time, a car pulled up, and a gentleman handed Arnold the divorce papers. This is impossible. She will leave me with nothing. Take care of yourself. I'm leaving here. And with these words, Arnold left. Having difficulty getting home, I discovered that our house was completely empty. I also threw up in my bathroom. As I was leaning over the toilet, someone rang our doorbell. There was an overnight bag by the door. I feared the worst. Howard's letter crushed me. I called my children and told them about the nightmare my life had become. They also received parcels. They were shocked to realize that Howard no longer wanted anything to do with them. I think they were hoping for an opportunity to explain their reasons to him. I am aware of my guilt. After purchasing some fast food, I headed to the consignment store. My credit card still worked, which surprised me. Some of my items have already been sold, but if I want to return anything, I will have to pay a cancellation fee. It was cheaper to buy only what I wanted. This fast food was no longer digestible. When I called Howard on his cell phone, some drunk answered. The children were no luckier. I didn't think Steve would help me, but I had to try. He laughed when I started asking questions. It was the longest weekend of my life. I slept on the floor and then tried to figure out what else I should buy from the thrift store. The only pair of shoes I had were the ones I wore home that day. I went to the discount store and bought some bathroom essentials. I tried to talk to friends and family, but Howard sent them the video. Not a single soul wanted anything to do with me. The call from Howard's lawyer was alarming. The locks will be changed on Friday, whether I'm there or not. Obviously, I could be charged with trespassing if that's what the homebuyers want. On Thursday evening, I loaded my worldly belongings into the car and spent the night in a cheap motel. I became homeless. I knew we had bank and brokerage accounts. But after reading Howard's note, I didn't expect to find any money. It took a long time at each institution to convince them that I had the right to access the accounts. I couldn't rent a cheap apartment with what Howard left me. Luckily, he didn't cancel our credit cards. If I keep track of my spending, I can live on these credit cards for a year or until they are canceled. My calls trying to find a divorce lawyer only made my pain worse. I didn't have enough money to hire a lawyer. Neither of them was ready to take on this case on an unsecured basis. When Arnold called and told me he had nowhere to stay, I laughed at him. He suggested we get together to have some sex. I told him where I was staying. Leaving the door ajar, I sat down and waited in my car. I left Arnold a note asking him to strip naked. A few minutes after he entered the room, I returned and opened the door to see Arnold naked, staring at me. I fired once. I flushed the note down the toilet and waited for the police. The officer I spoke to looked skeptical when I told him that I had returned to find a naked man in my room and, before I knew who it was, had shot in self-defense. They confiscated the gun and escorted me to headquarters. I was allowed to leave, but 2 days later, I was arrested for first-degree murder. I forgot there was a recording of that phone call, and they think I ambushed Arnold. I didn't have much hope that I would be found innocent. At least my money and housing problems were put aside. "Hello, Steve. This is Howard." "What's new?" "You better sit down, Howard." Lilith shot Arnold and then attempted suicide. She's in a state mental hospital. It was surreal to listen to Steve describe Lilith's ordeal. "I'll talk to you later, Steve. My head is spinning. My lawyer said that he will conduct an investigation, and I should wait for his analysis. Will I have anything to fear if I return home? How can I get my money back into the country?" He told me to sit quietly for a few days, and he would check what Steve told me, and let me know what my options were. It's been almost 9 months since my lawyer told me I could return. I don't think this will happen. Lilith is considered mentally unstable and remains in a government facility. Murder charges are never dropped, so if she ever gets better, it will only get worse. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.